Welcome to part 2 of our GMetrix series. In part 2, we're going to talk about GMetrix from the student perspective. The first thing you need to know about the GMetrix for Office is that it is a software program. It is not something that can be done online like some of the other GMetrix products for Adobe. So, depending on what goes on in your county, whether you can download it or your tech or your county office has to download it, once it's downloaded to the student screens, they'll simply open it. Now, of course, the first time they go in there, they're going to have to create an account. They can either click on Sign Up Here, or if they have a school, Google, or Microsoft account, they can sign in here. Do not allow them to use a home Google account because sometimes you won't be able to figure out who's doing it because they have such weird names on their Google account, whereas the school Google accounts will include their name and that'll show up on their reports. I'm going to sign in. Alright, there's two ways you can access everything here. You can either use the icons here, or over here the same thing, new test, save test, completed test, redeem a code. Before the student does anything, they're going to have to click on redeem a code, and you're going to have to get that access code that you created using the video in part 1 and paste it in here. I've already done that. So let's go over the other icons. Start a new test is going to start a brand new test. They have all the different Office products here. We're using 2016. We have all the different software programs. These are all the tests that I have for my students. You can see at the bottom I have tests and quizzes. The difference is I create quizzes in training mode. That way the students can take the questions one at a time and receive immediate feedback as to whether they're right or wrong. In testing mode, it's timed, and it also does not tell them whether they're getting it right or wrong. It just gives them at the end a score. So I use testing mode for test and training mode for quizzes. It's the only way students can get immediate feedback from us. There's so many of these little individual projects from Microsoft. We can't grade them, we can't give them feedback. It's just too much. So this is why GMetrix is a great addition. Resume a test will give them an option to resume a test they previously started. Sometimes they forget. They do a lot of things between the time they saw you yesterday and when they see you today. So this way they can pick on any of the ones that they've started and resume it. Completed tests will show them all the tests they've completed and their grades. So in this example, this person only got a 36 on their PowerPoint 8 test, then they took it again and they got a 63. I want my students to get at least a 70 on their test, so I would have told them to take it again. So if they look in their completed test, they can say, oh yeah, I need to take that again. Because sometimes they'll argue with you and say, oh, I know I got. You just tell them to look in your completed test and they can see. New with this version of GMetrix is something called study guides. Study guides are great because they can help you with students that maybe are sick for extended time period or get out of school suspended. They can go through there on their own. It's got every single skill that will be on the certification test. Okay, so for instance, insert and format graphics, insert graphic elements, insert shapes. I click on that. It will show me how to do it with visuals most of the time. It'll give you a glossary of any vocabulary words that are associated with it. And best of all, what I like best is the web content, because 90% of the time, of course not in this one, you're going to have a video that you can look at. This one, of course, does not have a video, but most of them do. So that's the study guide. Now, I was going to open up a test and show you, but it does not work with my screencast because GMetrix does have a trademark on their test, so we can't just show the test out there on the internet. What I will show you is, once the student has completed their test, this is what you can see. I showed you we can pull up the same report under details when you're pulling reports on students, but this is what they see when they finish their test. Okay? They see how long it took them, they see how many questions were there, they see that what their score is. This would normally say review questions, and that'll pull up any questions that they missed and allow them to do them again. I encourage my kids, before they try to do any of those questions again, to come down here to the bottom of the screen. They can look at the results by question or objective and find out which ones they missed. So here's one. Open template. They got it wrong. Right here is a study guide. If you look at the top, these are the study guides. So it'll pull up that particular study guide and tell them how they can do it. Again, the glossaries, web content. So this is pulling up what I just showed you a few minutes ago that has every single skill. This pulls up that particular skill that they got wrong and shows them how to do it. And this one does have a video. A couple of other things that I want you to know about GMetrix. I'll just go ahead and see. It's very important that you understand about GMetrix and how it puts folders into the student files. I'm going to show you. See where it says GMetrix templates? That dropped them into my documents. And this is where anything that tells the students to open something up, they have to find that in the GMetrix templates folder. Anytime it tells them to save something, they are going to save it to the GMetrix templates folder. If they don't do it that way, they will get the question wrong. So this leads us to a very important part that you may have to work on, or you may have to work with your tech person, is how to control where those GMetrix folders are installed. And we've had problems with them in the past at our school, so I know that it's something that I need to make sure you understand. It's under Options or Settings. And if you go over here to Local User Settings, as you notice right now, this is where it's putting it. Okay, you can browse and change the directory. I consulted with our techs at our school, and they told me exactly what to type in there so that it shows up on the student's desk. So you have to work with your tech people if it doesn't automatically show up like it should in your student files. You may be lucky. Maybe our county's just unlucky and it took us a while to figure out. But if the GMetrix folder is not showing up when the students try to find it, you will have to work with your tech people on this local user setting option. There's also a couple other things that are very rare that you would have to do. And some of those are like deleting GMetrix templates folders. Sometimes, for whatever reason, there'll be two GMetrix folders in a student's file. I don't know how that happens, but if I delete it and then go back in there and reinstall it, that usually works pretty good. So, this is everything that I wanted to show you about the student end of GMetrix. I hope this was helpful for you.